All right. Well, thank you everybody for attending. We respect your time a lot, and we have a little fun with the deeper dives most of the time. Security and the things that we talk about here are very serious. We take it very serious, and I suppose in one way, us coming across as a little bit lighthearted or unrealistic sometimes is a way for us to relieve a little stress because we're in the trenches and we see the blood and the ugly parts of this cyber war that we're all victims from the attacking parties, the criminals. You know your house gets burglarized. You know how you feel when your car is broken into or your house is broken into. It's the same way with cyber, or if you've ever experienced any kind of war personally, you're just at the mercy of these nation states and everything. So, what we hope to do is to prepare everyone a lot better for living in the world we live in today. So, today we're going to talk about the need to stop using free email services. And we're looking at this like, okay, this is a baby step to getting to the right security posture. Okay, maybe you don't know where to start with an EDR. You don't know who to trust. You don't. It's overwhelming, all the different things we sometimes talk about. And even though I can sit here and say that we make it all easy and all your problems, you'll be able to sleep at night and all these different things that we talk about, we decided to take a different tactic because one of the very first things you really need to do is to think about your email communications. And it's more than just security. It's also privacy. And if you heard me say it before, if you haven't heard me say it before, I'll say it again. Security equals privacy. Privacy equals security. So you have to maintain privacy in your business and your personal life. You have to. And that's a topic for a different time if you disagree with that, but it is true regardless of what you may think. Privacy is very important for security. So since this is the first step and we see so many people that are using Gmail and Yahoo and AOL, we thought it would be a really good way to kind of say, hey, this is relatively painless. It's a hassle, but you got to do it someday. You're going to have to do it someday because of security and privacy and lots of other reasons, but you're going to have to do it someday. So why not now? Stick a toe in the water and let's make life easier for everybody. I am Tom Kirkham, founder and CEO of IronTech. If you did not already know that, and I forgot to put the divers up there. So deeper dive, you get it? Deeper, they're going deeper. Okay. So what am I talking about? The public email domains, gmail.com, yahoo.com, aol.com, or your MSP like AT&T.net or Cox.net or Verizon.net or whatever it is. Those are what I consider and generally considered is public email domains. Businesses and organizations naturally increase their level and appearance of professionalism, security, and privacy by getting off of these public domains. And there's a lot of reasons to get off of domains. And the reasons are different for Gmail than they are for Yahoo, but I'm going to go through those. Now, the first two, Yahoo and AOL, are even if I would not use either one of those in my personal life at all. They have been breached so many times, there is zero protection there. And let's not forget that AOL and Yahoo especially, that's not their business. Just like Facebook, it's not their business to secure your data. In fact, if they could, they would sell everything they know about you. Their business is to sell your data. So the only reason they have any reason to protect your privacy is because they sell it, right? They can't give it all away for free. So security gets pushed way down the list for Facebook. And it's pretty much the same thing true for AOL and Yahoo, with the added complication of those being very old legacy platforms that are harder to maintain. You got to remember, Yahoo and AOL were around before Google. You know, when you compare the age of Google to AOL and Yahoo, I can remember when Google went public. I remember people telling me stories about Google getting started with venture capitalists, right? When they barely had a search engine. Now, I don't remember exactly when Gmail became available, but they were a search engine long before they were a email provider. And so either way, those three things right there are not necessarily security, but if you use one of those, it's just not as good as using IronTechSecurity.com. It's just something that a mature and responsible and a progressive organization should do. That's one of your steps. Just like getting your sales tax permit, your business license, whatever it may be, that's just one of the steps. And it's one of the things that you do is to move off of these public domains, public email domains. Now, in the case of Gmail, I am not as concerned about Gmail security problems because they do a really good job of securing their email systems. And incidentally, you can take your domain to Gmail and basically using all of their infrastructure or the Gmail platform and make your email address yourcompanyname.com or whatever your domain name may be. So providing that services to businesses requires them to make their security a whole lot better. And I would go so far as to say Google does a really, really good job with security. Now, here's the problem. The Gmail addresses, not the ones not your domain hosted addresses, but the Gmail addresses sell your personal information. They scan your emails to see what the topics and the content of the emails are, and they serve up ads to their customers to sell you things. And for that reason alone, I've got a Gmail account, and I've used it for years. In fact, it's so old that I got Tom Kirkham at gmail.com, in case you were wondering. And it's the best thing out there as far as public emails go. But leaving that aside, if your personal email is Yahoo or AOL, I would switch over to Gmail and as soon as I possibly could. And your business needs to switch over to your own business name. Now, in the case of myisp.com, this is some interesting reasons why you need to, or one particular interesting reason why you need to switch is because that email is often not portable. What do I mean by that? That means if SpaceX's Starlink is available, and it's cheaper than what you get from Comcast or Cox or whatever your service provider is, and you want to switch to Starlink, are you going to be able to keep your email address? Are you going to have to use it through a web browser? How long are they going to let you use it? What are the limitations on that? I just think it's very, very risky to use like Tom at AT&T.net or Tom at Cox.net. You want to maintain that flexibility to change internet service providers whenever you want to. So those don't go part and parcel. They never were intended to do that, actually. That's just something that, frankly, came out of AOL days. It's just, AOL got everybody on the internet in masses, and they already had email, and so it just kept on going. but there's no reason why those have to be coupled together. Okay, you can have anyone host your email on any domain that you own or any other domain. So let's review what I was talking about. It's simply not professional. Arguably, Gmail is, there may be another one that's more professional than Gmail as far as, from an image perspective, but it's still not as good as having your own name. Like I mentioned, some of them have serious security issues. Some of them have serious privacy issues. Never used an ISP-based domain name because you can't, it causes problems when you want to switch. What we get into is, because of the nature of some of the things that we do from a security company standpoint, such as phishing simulations. Those are emails that we send out to clients that subscribe to the service. That these are emails that look like, or they look like legitimate emails, but they are simulating a phishing attack. And the purpose of that is to see who fails. The users in your organization, if they click on a link that says, Citibank's cutting you off or your account's overdrawn, whatever, the purpose of finding those people out is to increase their security maturity, their security awareness level. So when they do fail a phishing test, they get played a training video and said, if this had been the real world, no telling what could have happened. It could have been catastrophic for you personally or the company, whatever it is. Well, because these are designed to be real phishing attacks, they get caught in spam filters. Now, you may say, well, the spam filter catches all these. No spam filter catches every phishing attack, and they're all unique. All the spam filters dials are set different ways and all of these different things. So everybody's subject to a successful phishing email attack and the resulting ransomware, whatever the payload is. So the phishing sims are a real good way to get everybody up, to get everybody up and running. It's, and I've fallen for them because they're that good these days. Not the real ones and the simulated ones. In fact, I'd argue that the real ones are better than the simulated ones because we can't do everything that you can in the real world. But it's as close as we can get from a technical perspective. So those two things is another reason why, if you're interested in increasing your firm's security maturity level, it's going to require security awareness training and it's going to require phishing simulations. That's just one of the things that you do. You're going to have an email server that your service provider, your IT company has granulated control over, where they can go in and set what's known as a whitelist for security training and phishing simulations. So once again, when you get to your own email, you have a lot more control over this. So use your own company's domain. Use a professional. That's like Astro off of the Jetsons. Wow, I just dated myself. Kinsey has no clue what I'm talking about. Whoops. Anyway, in spite of that typo but the unprofessional typo I may add, you want to use a professional email host, and you can get this from anybody. I'd go so far as to say there's Rackspace has got really good email hosting. Of course, ours is really good. Office 365 is good. Ours is better. Then what you want to do is, when you're migrating off of that AOL, Yahoo, Gmail, whatever it may be, you can go into that account and configure all email that comes into that automatically get forward to your new email address. Okay. And then what will happen over time, people will begin replying to that new email address. Okay. Now, you also want to notify everyone of the new address. You can put that in your signature at the very bottom. If you've got a list that you market to, you want to make sure they all know. You send out bills with that old Yahoo address, change that, put it in big red letters. Notice we have a new email address for service requests and this, that, and the other. And then finally, you're going to let that other one sit out there as long as you can. And most of them are free, right? But you still going to want to eventually delete it. So those last remaining stragglers will be forced to change their contact book and everything else to the new email address. So that's entirely up to you and your, the personas of your customers, clients, vendors, things like that. Some of them do it much, much quicker. Some of them wait 2 years, 3 years, 4 years to do it. But if you don't start now, the longer you wait, the more painful it becomes. And that's where I am with my Gmail account because it's so old. It's going to be more painful for me. So I understand. I completely can relate to the pain that changing email is. But we know what to do. We're really good at it. We've done this over and over and over again. It's one of the first things we do with new clients that are on AOL, Yahoo, Gmail, and all that. We sign them up. Let's get you email at yourdomain.com. And it's a little cheaper than this one, but we do have an IronTechMail.com that is much, much more secure. We have total control over the whitelist, the spam filter. We can tweak those things for you and make it even more bulletproof than anything you would get from Verizon. And only do it for you. See, Verizon has to make a decision. Am I only going to do it for this client? Those are support headaches, and it could cause all kinds of problems. Those models just don't work when you're dealing with hundreds of millions of emails. Okay, but when you're only dealing with a few thousand like we are, it's not that big of a deal. And then we only do it on a company by company basis. We don't make individual email filter exceptions because we can't manage that. Just like Verizon can't manage one company out of 10 million. Okay. Ours is Microsoft Exchange based, which is pretty much the best email server in the business and always has been. It is in a best of breed, best of show, best in the world, literally data center, literally best. All of that is best in the world. I can't exaggerate that anymore. It truly, truly is the best. And we're not the only ones saying that. I wouldn't say it if we were the only ones saying it. Historically, our uptime has been much, much better than Office 365. I'll have to give kudos to Microsoft. Their Office 365 uptime is getting to acceptable levels. And we are, a lot of people say, why do our peers, they sell Office 365 all the time, and they go, why don't you sell that? And I go, their uptime's not as good. And when our clients have problems, they're frustrated with us because we sold it to them, and we call up Microsoft, and has anybody ever called Microsoft for support? Same way if we were using it. It goes into a black hole at best. So we were frustrated. If we get frustrated the same way you do if you can't reach your IT company. Because in that case, Microsoft is part of our IT company, so we just haven't ever done it. And our email servers stay up, 4 nines at least. There are exceptions where certain clients go down for certain reasons because certain clients have they have their own server. We have dedicated servers for clients of certain sizes. But our enterprise servers, such as IronTechMail.com, they're easy 4 nines. And it's still up better than Office 365. If you want to go to Office 365 or Google, what is theirs called? I think it's Google Apps. Well, it's not Google Apps. They have a name for their email service. You'll find it real easy. But I wouldn't have a problem with either one of those. And if you're thinking about going to something that I haven't mentioned, feel free to reach out. Be happy to look at it for you if I don't already know. I did mention Rackspace earlier. We've had clients that used Rackspace Exchange Mail, and they switched to us. So Rackspace is a great, great company, but that kind of illustrates how good ours is. Like I said, we manage the spam filter, so we can support you with all of that. We instituted I think this has been before your time, Kinsey, a couple of years ago, right? We uh, we instituted the latest in email security that is just now being put in places like Rackspace and things like that. This started with the U.S. government, and they were requiring this. The deadline, I think, was sometime last year, and we started seeing how do we increase security around email? Like, how do we recruit? What can we do to help stop even people receiving an email from tom.kirkham at IronTechSecurity.com when it's not really from me, because that happens. I'm sure you've gotten emails from people and then lo and behold, you find out that was they were impersonating that email address. So, and then there's other things to it. So inside the gears of the internet, there's these SPF, DMARC, and DNS, and all these other things, settings that mail servers can check amongst themselves to say, okay, it says it's from Tom Kirkham at IronTech, but is it really? So it goes out and runs out to the server and says, hey, this server sent an email that says it's you. And my server will go, that's not me. My email can only come from this server. So the other server says, oh, thank you, and then bounces it. The end user never sees it. It's not 100% yet. But these are the things that are being rolled out that most of the average person doesn't know, to cut down on spam and help cut down on phishing and things like that. If you're in a business, an attorney or a financial institution, maybe you handle credit card numbers and things like that, and you really shouldn't send that stuff as free text through an email. Passwords, usernames. We don't do that. We have Slack that's fully encrypted, and then we've got encrypted email. And so if you've got your own email server or you're on our email server, you have that option to add to your account. And this is especially the archiving option. There's a limit to what can be stored affordably on any Exchange server, and I don't care who you are or how big you are. However, many, many types of businesses and organizations have requirements to keep emails for a certain period of time. So regardless of how much storage is. But these may or may not ever be accessed, and if they are needed to be accessed, it's usually something that's not immediate, right? Not like you need to find out who sent you that email about this court case last week, right? It's going to be something that says, oh, I'm getting sued by a client, and they subpoenaed all of our emails. Well, they know that takes time. So we can also offer an option that's known in the business as archiving, where it just puts all the emails away on a different server, keeps the performance of your production server way high, and we can keep those emails in archive at a much lower cost for as long as you want to pay for it, okay? And then since we're using Exchange, like I mentioned, that's probably, or it is, as far as I'm concerned, it's the best email server out there. Things like your calendar, your contacts, your Microsoft Outlook, your Apple Mail, your iCal, all of those things are all synchronized through some really, really good technology that Microsoft developed. I don't even remember when, 30 years ago. And it's pretty much the dominant platform in the industry, and it just works. I mean, there's no better way to say it. It just works, and everything is synchronized, and it increases your productivity dramatically if you've got those. For those of you on the call that have not gotten a security risk assessment, we've gone up to $795 on that, so sorry if you didn't get in earlier. But it is still easy peasy. We are increasing the deliverables on that. Not to say that they were lacking, but we are working really hard on getting more and more information to you, especially when it comes to other stakeholders or influencers that you may bounce the ideas off of. So if you have to answer to a board or you've got to run it through your IT guy, we're putting very specific things in our assessments, analysis, proposals to get them to quickly make a decision or to answer any questions that they may have. So we know that a lot of you have a lot of different stakeholders, and you feel better if everybody's involved and understands why the decision was made. So that's part of it. That's part of why we're going up on the price. So anyway, you know the number, you know that email, you know sales at IronTech Security. Most of you are smaller firms. It's really painless. It's no big deal. And you do have information that is deliverable. Now, this is another thing. This is not a special. This is the way it is. Okay? If you do nothing but get our managed endpoint detect and respond or our endpoint protection platform, whatever, it's all the same stuff. Basically, it is a super turbo deluxe antivirus, which is, I hate to even compare it to that, but it uses the differentiator is it does not use signatures to catch a virus. It uses artificial intelligence and machine language to trap them even before a signature is even known. Every single client that we have on EDR has never had a successful ransomware attack, minimal problems with breaches themselves. The SolarWinds attack that was on the news 3 or 4 weeks ago, that all these government agencies, and I think today they're saying 100 different corporations that were affected by this, that were breached. There were a lot that had the SolarWinds product on there that did not have a successful attack, and the reason for that is they were using the exact same EDR that we sell. There was no one that was using both the SolarWinds and that particular EDR was successfully breached. There's two problems with it. I'm fixing to get on the soapbox here. I know SolarWinds as a company. I've spent a lot of money with that company, and I got the inner workings back when they were a very, very small company, and they were run poorly and poor security, as it's evidenced by the password being SolarWinds 123. But what is more tragic, or perhaps as tragic as that, is the victims that did suffer a successful breach weren't using best of breed EDR. And I don't know how that happened, but there was two tragedies. It's like airplane crashes. There's always more than one cause. So there was at least two things that went wrong there. You guys can do better than that simply by getting this EDR. Now, you hear me preaching about security awareness training, and you hear me preaching about getting your backups in order. I'm telling you, if you really want to protect yourself against cybersecurity attacks, especially ransomware, which is your biggest threat, you want the EDR. Just get that. Get the email and get the EDR. Just get the email. You know, it's baby steps first, right? And we're going to rip out and replace that useless antivirus. For just $50 a month for up to 5 users, this is human monitored, human mitigated, human investigation, human postmortems on any successful or unsuccessful attack. These are real live human beings that look at anomalies that they're alerted to by this artificial intelligence that we install on your computer. It is absolutely bulletproof. I'm not saying it's 100%. What I am saying is we've never had anywhere near a catastrophic problem with a client that has this tool on there. In fact, we believe in it so much, they're not a client if they don't put this on there. They're gone. We went through this last year. We finally, early last year, I think it was. It might have been late the year before. I can't remember, but quite some time ago. We use Bitdefender, and it's a very good AV. But we were having people they were reluctant to spend another $20 a month for their entire company and go to this much, much better platform. And I was scared to death that they were going to have a breach. So we finally made the decision. I want to sleep at night, right? We finally made the, because maybe we didn't do a good job of communicating, like how serious this is. Sometimes geek speak and human speak, as much as I try, are still two different languages. It's like sometimes I don't understand Irish, okay? Scottish most of the time, but it's still English. And so we finally decided the easiest and simplest ways was just simply force it on everybody. Now, we didn't lose anybody over it. They did. Their bills went up. And in fact, most people said, whatever you tell us to do, we're going to do. And that made us feel better. And so now we don't worry about it. And we will not accept somebody that says, I don't want to put it on there. It's that important to us. You can get it. You can do without the security training, spam filtering, whatever else. But EDR is required for our clients. So anyway, I guess I can go back to the other slide. That's it. Any questions? I don't have the questions up, Kenzie.
So far, there's nothing in chat and nothing in the Q&A box, but we can give everybody a second.
You know what's amazing to me is we do these webinars, and I must do such a phenomenal job that I just fill in all the gaps.
Yeah, no questions.
Geez, that's like master storytelling or something. Seriously, guys, get a security assessment if you haven't. We are a security company, so obviously privacy and security is very important to us, including our prospects. We don't sell your data, that kind of stuff. We don't. We've got incredible amounts of security. I would put it up against your IT company if you're using an outside IT company, because typically those companies aren't as secure as most people assume. So if you're outsourcing your IT company, you rest assured that our security is every bit as good as theirs. We use best in the world stuff. So I'm not saying somebody won't break in, but I sleep at night.
Well, I'm not seeing anything.
All right. Well, thanks again, everybody. We will. This was Thursday. Normally we do these Tuesdays at 2 p.m. Feel free. Thank you, Jenny. Feel free to pass these emails or the notices of the deeper dives to your colleagues, friends, and family. The more everybody understands what we're faced with as society all around the world, the more secure all of us will be. So, see you next time on the Deeper Dive.
Thanks, guys.